Hey, hi everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And yes, my name is Vera Sompon, and you are here with the social workers. And our interest and desire is, of course, to support you, to sustain you, to give you the necessary help that you need so that your life in Germany could be easy. And today we have a very, very interesting conversation, a conversation that has to do with parents. Today we want to talk on strengthening parental skills, or again, strengthening parental education. Welcome with me, my colleague, Batemona-Abeke. Batemona-Abeke. I'm always pronouncing your name wrongly sometimes. I hope you're doing very well today and you look extremely beautiful. How are you?
Yeah, thank you very much, Vera. I'm very happy to see you once again. And I'm looking actually very happy today because this is one of the topics that I love doing and I love sharing it with the people of African descent. And I'm very happy because every mother, every father, every auntie, everyone who is involved in educating children will really profit from it. My,
Mm-hmm. I
yes,
also know that you are having with Pamoja, you offer, and you have also a business where you really offer family help. And that's why today I'm particularly dread for this conversation because many parents really, really have it hard in Germany. And many parents usually complain of the fact that the youth office is just there to pick up their children, take away their children from them. We have also got a report from many other parents that it would be good to have a conversation concerning parental skills or parental education. And that is the reason why today we are having this conversation. And we said we wanted to go real deep into some certain issues. Ma'am, tell us more. What is that strengthening parental skills and how do we come in as social worker? Thank you.
thank you very much. First of all, thank you for introducing Pamoja. Vera said, Pamoja is a charity organization. It's an institute here in Cologne that is specializing with anti-racism work, with offering children and the youth and all families the support they need. And we specialize with African families and everyone that is having something to deal with an African or a Black person in one way or the other. So today we chose this topic on strengthening parental skills because as African social workers, we are really working with the families and we know where the problem lies and we know what our people need so that they can really profit from this service. So today we are going to talk about the different services and different laws that are guiding this work that we do that is called parental service, or in Germany, for those that are in Germany, it's called Hilfeerziehung. So you find this from the social law, SGB 8. And today we are going to cover the paragraph 1. We're going to go to paragraph 8a, which most parents knows because some have been involved with, have been affected by it in one way or the other. And we are going to explain in details what paragraph 27 of SGB 8 of SGB 8 is talking about, because these are the laws, social laws that are governing, and it's about the children and the youth. And the youth support, more or less. Now, many parents or many people don't know that there is a law that is saying that children have a right to be educated. Children have a right to a correct upbringing, and this the person who is responsible for this are the parents. The parents have a right to the children have a right to be educated by their children, and the parents have a responsibility to bring the children up in a correct way. Every child has has a right to be taken care of in terms of getting the proper food, being cleaned, washed, the air to be kept okay. They have to they have a right to play as children and to be supported in playing in games so that they can develop to be responsible adults, and to be also educated and to be guided so that they can be able citizens in the future, to be educated in a way that they can support themselves so that they will not always be depending on the parents at the end of the day. So this kind of education is very important for their mental, for their physical development, and it needs to be supported so that there will be no drawbacks, retardation. We have children that are born without any retardation, but they are born quite normal. But because the parents did not offer them support in one way or the other, these children end up being mentally retarded, also physically. They are not able to do some things. So this is why the African Social Workers Network, having known what these laws mean, and having seen a gap in some of us because of the things we are facing in this country, because of the language that we are not understanding, because of the faith, the extended society or community or family that is not here in Western countries, especially in Germany. That's why we took it as our responsibility so that we can share and try to support parents so that they don't get into conflict with anything, and so that our children can grow up being able members of a society. So this is paragraph 1. It's very, very important that children and the youth needs to be defended. They need to be taken care of so that there will be no danger in their life. And if there's any danger appearing, then the parents primarily have the responsibility of taking care of them. Now, if the parents are not able for one reason or the other, then the government comes in. And this is the difference in our African countries. When we are here, you better know that you as a parent, you have the pure responsibility of taking care of this child. If you don't do it according to the laws of this country, then the government is going to step in. And this is where we talk of Jugendhilfe in Germany. So this is also to be found in paragraph 2. This is very important. If you are sitting watching this, you can note down all these paragraphs. Go and research even in Google. They are going to explain to you what it means. So paragraph 2 is saying that now the Jugendhilfe steps in. Jugendhilfe, or the youth support, is offered by the government. In Germany, it is the Jugendamt. I think most of you know this one word. Jugendamt is in charge, is the government body that is in charge of the children and the youth. And this is not all the time. If you're fulfilling, if you're doing what you're going to do, you're not going to rub minds with Jugendamt. And we have different sections of Jugendamt. Of course, this is the youth support. And we have the Jugendamt that is in charge of offering or say fulfilling the duties of where families are parents are failing. Of course, we have Jugendamt that is in charge of like being in charge of the children. This is the Beistandschaft. If parents cannot make the right decisions, there's also another department that is in charge of this. And then there's also a different department in Jugendamt that is in charge of offering maybe free activities or holiday programs or praying programs so that the children can move. They don't need to be all the time in their houses, in their apartments. So There are different departments in Jungendamt, but today we are going to concentrate on that is offering a parental support. Now, I say that we are going, and Jungendamt has empowered different organizations. These are called Freie and öffentliche Jugendhilfe. So Freie is the free. This is the from the civil society, from the civil organizations like Pamoja Africa. We are offering. We are also a recognized organization or recognized institution. Same case to Sompon. Social services is a recognized institution that is offering these children and youth support, or like Caritas, Diakony, Avo. We have in different towns, different organizations that are empowered by the government to act on their behalf. We here in Cologne, in Pamoja, we are working together with PEZ. This is the Psychosocial Zentrum in Düsseldorf, and we are in Cologne representing them and doing this Jugendhilfe. So I'll move now from the Jugendhilfe, this is paragraph 2, and go to paragraph 8a, because I think it's very, very important if the parents also get to know of this paragraph. Paragraph 8a, it's talking about when the problem is there. It's talking about protection. This is like a contract given to organizations or given to institutions when they see that the children are endangered. That means the parents are not able to do it. It could be maybe they are sick. It could be maybe they are having some problems, a serious problems that is making them not be able to take care of their families, and because of this there is a danger. And really, when you hear 8a as a parent in Germany, this is a red flag. You have to take action. If you hear in school or kindergarten, or you receive a letter written 8a, you have to run very fast to a counseling center so that you can get support, because if you don't take step immediately, something not very good is on the way. And what does this mean? It means you may be forced to take external help from the government will force you, or if you are not cooperative, your child is going to be taken away, given to foster parents, or given to a child orphanage, you know what we say in Germany, Wohngruppe, or the child will be given to somebody else to take care of, or will be sent in an institution where other like children are, so that they can be taken. Remember, why the government is doing all this is because of paragraph 1, which is saying every child has a right of education from parents. And if the parents cannot do that, then government comes in, steps in as parent number 2 to fulfill this. Thank you very much.
Sorry. My microphone was off. Thank you very much, ma'am. You have given us a law session, and this was amazing also to follow from background as a colleague. To know that yes, we have the paragraph 1 that gives the power also for and establishes the power of the parents, but also behind it there is also the paragraph 2 that gives also the power to the youth center, the youth government, to be able to back up the parents. And I want to also say that it's not only because the parents really don't have the ability, so that our mothers don't think that, oh, it means they don't have the ability. No, is that yes, you really can be in a moment where, like our sister said, that you really have some challenges, maybe you're sick and you really need help. So don't wait until you get to the point of paragraph 8 where they write and say, hopes something is missing here. Now, thank you so much, ma'am. I want us to go to some of the problems where some of the problems in paragraph 8, because I think that when people come to your office or they come to our office, the first thing they say is, these people want to take my children. And usually I'm asking, but why? Why do you think they want to take your children? Ma'am, can you cite us some of the negligence that can cause the effect of paragraph 8a?
Okay. The first step is if the institutions are complaining, the children, if they're in a kindergarten, the teachers will keep on telling you something. You're not dressing your child well. This child needs to be taken for some certain therapies like speech therapy or ergotherapy or this or this. The institutions will show you, will complain. First of all, they will talk to you in a normal way, and it will not be once or twice or three times. If your child is in a school, the teachers will be calling you for meetings, and they'll be calling you, they'll be writing to you, they'll be telling you, do this and this, we are noticing this and this. It could be that the child is not having concentration. It could be that your child is sad, is looking sad all the time, crying all the time. It could be that your child is isolating him or herself from other children and looking sad. It could be that your child is having scars on the body, or the child is complaining, I don't want to go home. I'm afraid. If a child messes something very little and the teacher tries to discipline the child can say, please don't let my parents know, because if my parents know, I will get into trouble. And when the teachers hear this, they will then go in deeper. Remember they end psychology in their training. They will ask, how will you get into trouble? So a child will say, oh, my mother will beat me up. My father will beat me up. Or I'm going to be locked in a room. Or I will not get food. Or I will not be allowed to go out for a week. All those are little things for us, parents. We think maybe we punish or we remain consequent. But if it is coming regularly and the child starts communicating about this or lamenting about it, somebody has to take this child serious. I'm really saying that this happens mostly when we are too busy to try and to understand our children. And I recognize we have to be busy in this country because nothing is for free in this country, so you have to toil to get it. But I wish to remind the parents that as we toil, as we hustle, as we struggle to feed these children, we shouldn't neglect them. For us, maybe it's not neglecting, but for the institution, for the government institution, who are parents number two, they will view that such things as negligence. And when there is negligence, then we are talking already of 8A, paragraph 8A. So then maybe they're going to call you to a meeting, you don't come, you don't go to parents' meetings, so you don't know what happens in school. When the child is supposed to go on a school trip, your child is always at home. If the other children are supposed to go swimming together, your own child is always at home because you have not paid the 2-3 euro that is supposed to be paid for the children to go to this trip. So all these things summed up together, they are going to, it is an indication something is missing. And so under normal circumstances, all pedagogy, all professionals, social workers or teachers, if they notice this, the law is telling them they should try to speak with the children, but if it with the parents, but if it gets too much, they have to inform Jungendamt. They have to inform the government. If they don't do it, they are putting themselves into danger. They can actually lose their job. Another thing that makes another area is even neighbors can call Jungendamt for you. Neighbor, it's just enough to call, to make a phone call and say, I think there's something happening there. Child is always crying, or this child is always sad. So whether it is true or not, the Jungendamt, the government is supposed by law to take these complaints serious. Now they have to come to you. They have to approach you. They have to see that children. Sometimes they'll just write to you a letter and they'll visit you. Sometimes they will appear on your door without letting you know, depending on what has been reported. And their job is just to verify if what has been said is true. This is
So
very
the
important.
question, it's so important. This one is very important that we insist on it.
Yes.
Now, why do they verify if it is true? What is the intention of the youth government or the youth center to verify this anonymous information or again this real information?
Remember, at the very beginning, we started with paragraph 1. We said every child has a right to be educated. And if anybody reports that this is not happening, then the parents, number 2, which is the government, they have to step in and take some actions. Before they take any action, they have to verify with the parents whether this is true or not. Sometimes they even talk to the children in school. Sometimes your child will go to school and not come home. You're just going to get information that the Jugendamt passed by and took your child. So if you want to know why, please go to the Jugendamt. And then you'll be told what happened that your child went. So that is why I think that it's very, very important for parents to be on this platform, because some things can be avoided when you get this information. And I'm telling you, it can happen to anyone. You can just be too busy and you raise your hand, just something small, just a tap on the popo, and your child is going to report to you because this is called violence. So it is upon you now to prove that it wasn't violence. And believe you me, don't ever try to open a file. Don't try to avoid opening a file, because once you have opened a file at Jugendamt, this file remains open until the child is 18 years. This is very, very important, until your child becomes an adult. Why? Why do they keep this information for all these years? It's because if something reoccurs, then they will go back to the history. And if it is always being reported, there is something. One day they will find something, even if it is somebody trying to put you into trouble. And I want also to explain that Jugendamt has no interest, or the government has no interest taking any child from their parents. No interest. You need to know how much it costs a day, depending on the city you are living in, to have a child in a in a in a in a in a vuln group, or in a to be taken care of by
Mm.
foster parents or in another institution. We are talking about 700 euro a day. So why would the government be paying for a child 700 euro to be for this child to be taken care of by somebody else, if you are capable of doing it? So let's
And I think, ma'am, I think this is also, ma'am, this is also a very important information. We
yes.
have to stay on this information because usually parents think that the government is just doing that because they want to do that. And so I think it's so important that we understand that the amount of money invested in this is extremely high, that actually no government will want to actually do that. And so if the government is doing that, again, it is backed up with Article 2. So go on again on that. You said 700, but in
I
some
think
states it's
about.
extremely.
I said about.
Exactly.
It could be even
Exactly.
higher. And we are talking of a day. Why? Why is it that much? Because there has to be social workers, have to be paid to be 24 hours taking care of these children like the parents. These children have to eat, they have to dress, they have to be given pocket money, they have to be taken to kino, they have to go swimming, they have to go on vacation, they have to lead a normal life they are supposed to lead when they are with their parents. So that is why it's so costly to take a child either to a foster family or to another institution where the children are being taken care of. So the government's intention is the child should remain with the parents. And if one parent is not capable, then the other parent should be capable. If they, of course, both of them have the right of custody. This is also very important, because some of us we don't take this right of custody. We don't even know what it is, and even if we don't take it serious, because if you are not married in this country and you have a child with somebody, and if you are not, even if you are living together and you are not married, if something happens to the mother, because the law says the child has to be with the mother at a tiny age. If the father wants the right of custody, then they have to be married. If they are not married, then he has to apply, and the mother of the child has to accept to give him the right of custody. The laws are getting a bit fair to fathers. It's saying that the fathers have a right, but he has to apply. And if the mother refuses, she has to prove why the father cannot be given it. So please, brothers and sisters, if you have a child with somebody in this country and you are not officially married, not the one you marry in the village or in the church. These marriages are not recognized in this country. You have to go to the what is Standesamt in German
The
to the
registry.
registry. You
No?
have to be married at the registry, or if you are married in your own country, you have to come here with a certificate, and the government has to verify that this is the legal marriage. Not the one you have been married in the village, you put on beans and you danced and you wear up. No, 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 this one is not recognized here. It's wonderful to do that, but it is not recognized here. So in some countries, the church marriages are also accepted with the registry, or they happen same time with the registry. So this is very, very important to find out if your marriage is accepted in this country, and you can find out from the registry if your marriage is accepted, so that in case of anything, then one parent, if something happens to one parent, then the other one can come into question. And now you could be having the right of custody, both of you, and the child still doesn't come to you. Because why? Because you are supporting the other part, you are not able to represent the interest of the child. So it can be, if they say the mother cannot see the child because of some reasons, and you, the father, you insist the child has to be with the mother. So at the end of the day, both of you are going to lose that child. So this is why we are trying to come up with this topic, so that we can help our people. We can help each other, because we are privileged. We are in the system, so we know how this system is functioning, and we don't want our African parents to suffer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And we are going to still continue insisting on the paragraph 8, because I think that that's where most of our people usually get to reach, because they either refuse unconsciously some of the counsel before then, and then we are now forced to either take the children and then send them to foster homes, or again maybe to groups, the youth groups and all that, or youth homes and all that. So my next question would be, how can we and parents listening to us now avoid, avoid that the youth office or the government comes into their home and take their children? Are there practical steps that parents could do themselves, so that the youth officer don't come and just want to say, hey, paragraph 8A is involved now? Can the mother or parents go themselves to the youth officer and say, I need help? And if they do, does it have any effect?
Thank you very much, Ma, for the question. You can, okay, I give an example where external people inform Jungendamt. So if Jungendamt comes to you and asks you questions and controls, they will come, they will check, is the apartment clean? Is the child having a proper place to sleep, and is the place clean? Is the child having toys, depending on the age? Is the child having toys to play with? Are the windows broken? Is the door broken, or is the balcony naked, so that there is a risk of a child jumping and falling down? Is there any food in the fridge? This surprises many people, that the younger Jugendamt will just visit, and you find them just walking around checking where the bedroom, checking if there's any food in the fridge, because this is an indication that there is a problem in the house. If they find an empty fridge, the next question is, where is the food? What are you going to do? Why is there no food for the children in the house? So just because a neighbor complained, maybe you have issues with the neighbor, because this is what happens most of the time, and you think that this neighbor doesn't like me and involve younger than, when they come home, maybe the problem that they were called for is not really there, but in the process they will see, why is the knife on the floor and there is a small child of 3 or 4 years in this house? Why are the windows not protected? This child can open and jump and fall down. You know, why is the child in winter dressed with only something light? So those are the indications that things could not be right. Or why are you shouting to a child? You are not talking, you are just shouting to the child. Or the apartment is so dirty so that it poses a health risk for your child. So now, if that's the case, if you are confronted with such a situation, my advice to you today is cooperate. Don't grow wings. Don't try to discuss. Don't try to show that they are wrong. Cooperate. Ask them, what if you genuinely don't know what is expected of you, ask them, what is it that I need to put things in place? Is there any help you can render me so that I can fulfill that is missing? Uh, If you show that you're cooperative, they are going to give you top help. There will be no problem. Number two, you yourself, you can also work to young adults. If you notice that you're having these problems, if you're having mental problem, you find yourself just shouting to your child without reason, or when the children are too noisy, you are not able to contain them, or you don't have food in the house, or you don't have a bed, you don't have a place for the house is not suitable for the children, you can walk to the government office or to a counseling center and ask for help. If you don't know where they are and the child is in kindergarten or in school, speak to the teacher. Tell them, give me the contact of young adult that is in charge of me. Because if you walk into that office, they are going to help you. They are going to give you even the help that you did not know is existing. And they will not, this now, because you've worked on your own, they will say, what a wonderful mother, what a reasonable father who is thinking about his or her children. They are going to offer you any kind of support, and you'll be sitting on a table like equals, discussing about the services that you need and the help. After 6 months, you're going to sit again together and see how is this help going on. So no fear. So I want to encourage you today not to run away from the youth office. Go there yourself, very conscious with your shoulders up, and say, I'm a parent, I need help. I have learned that you give help. I have learned that you render support to parents. I am here alone. I don't have a family, or I'm new in this country. I don't know where to begin. I want to get first class information from you regarding supporting my child. I want you to help me register a child to kindergarten. If you exactly know what is it that you need, they'll be very happy with you and they will cooperate. You will not have any problem. Thank you.
And the amazing thing is, like, just like what you said, is when you go to them, they really cooperate, they give you the necessary help, and you will really have no problem. So thank you so very much. This is why we are here as the African social workers. But ma'am, come again. How can we as African social workers help the community? Apart from this information we are giving them, how can we do again? Is there any extra effort we can do? Can we collaborate also with these youth services, and to be able to give them the real intercultural diverse support that they need, meet for their own needs?
Yes, two ways. You can. How can we help? Like you or me walked into the youth office and said, we want to be given the license, we want to be recognized to offer family support to African families. This is one way we can help our African community or the families. Number two is doing such programs like we are doing now, trying to sensitize, to educate, to provide the information to our people which is not there mostly. So this way we are trying to help. Number three, trying to work with other organizations or institutions where we find our African people commonly. For example, here in Cologne, we try as much as possible to work with churches. We try to cooperate with pastors, because we know when the pastor or the church is aware of the services that are offered, they can talk to their people. And since people go spiritually to pastors or to religious leaders to get spiritual guidance, if the pastors or the imam or the priest are aware of the services that are in the community or that are being offered by African social workers, then it is easier to inform the congregation about it. And by so doing, then the services will reach the people, and people are going to be exposed to know that there is this kind of help, just in case they get into any problem. Number two, we are not saying that the African parents have problems. The reason is because when we are in this country, you can only educate your child the way you are educated at home. So some of us, like me, I came here, I was a mother, and at home, back at home, we used to be happy to sit in front of a television with our parents in the evening to watch TV. So watching TV was a family activity. And when I came new into this country, I started doing it. And because I don't have my parents here or a big family, sometimes I'll just leave the children to watch TV for me to go and quickly prepare food since they were small. And the children were getting addicted and watching anything in TV. And in the process, they become so hyperactive, so that when they go to school, they are just hyperactive. I could buy children also Nintendo and all these things they play with, so that because I want to be a good mother. So this we do all these things with good intentions without knowing that these things could also be a problem, could bring a problem to our families. So this is why we are trying to, because we have been longer here, we have known some of these things, we are working with these institutions. We are the same people who are being sent by the government to go and verify if everything is okay. We are the same people being sent to go and carry children from their parents, which is a very bitter experience. I always shed my tears if I have to take a child away from a mother and from a father and hand over a black child to an institution. It's a very, very painful experience. So,
We have to get there little so that the people also know it's not that we want to take the children. It is because it is a job that we are having. So, and that makes it very, very difficult when our people, they look at you at that time as an African, they don't see you as a social worker or a professional, and then you come to their home and you are being asked you have to collect that child. It is really, really painful. So again, this is a platform for us to tell our people we are not doing the work that we are doing because we really love to take the children away from the families. We do everything possible to really, really stop if there is a possibility to stop. But for that, we have to do the work we are doing now by educating the parents and by giving the right information that we are giving now. Ma'am.
yes, like I said, it's a very bitter experience, but sometimes it happens. So because you're on duty, you have to carry on your duty. So even if it happens, I always advise the parents, if they could listen to me, I always say it's not too late. Maybe the child has to go now, but if you cooperate, this child is going to come back, depending, of course, on the reasons why the child is being taken away. But from my experience, that if the parents cooperate, the child will be back. But I want to go back to the topic that made me talk of these children being taken away. Like, we provide some certain things to our children that later become a problem. You know, before I came to this country, I never knew there is something called ADRS. You know, this hyperactivity syndrome. This is because children are indoors, small rooms. They are playing with all these electronics. If they watch cartoons, it's these the cartoons that they don't talk. It's or Tom and Jerry. You know, they are just shouting. You know, they are not people. They are not human beings. It's just some figures. You know, this thing is very very dangerous to the children. And if it is too much, like we say, too much of everything is poisonous. So everything has to be limited. You know, you have to give a time frame, like you have to watch TV for 30 minutes. And mind you, if it is 30 minutes every day, if you consider the child is watching TV 30 minutes every day, in a week, it's 30 minutes times 7. So how many minutes are those? How many hours are those? So we need to be calculating, and don't count only TV time. Count maybe Andy, count Nintendo, count those games that they play. Everything that is electronic is not good for their eyes.
Yes.
It is very disastrous for their developing brain.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the children not to think. So we went through all these problems in this country, and we learned from our own mistakes also as professionals of African descent new in this country. So we are recommending that buy your children things that they can use their hands or they can use their brains. You know, they can draw, they can paint, they can play football. Back home, some of us grew climbing trees. Here in this country, we have to look for a tree that your child can climb. It's not just any tree that you can climb in this country. And this makes it difficult that, you know, can you imagine climbing tree, all the skills that you will need to use? You have to coordinate so that you don't fall down. You have to bring your legs so that they wrap the tree. The hands have to have a grip so that you hold fast. Climbing trees is cool. Is a alone that alone to know if your child knows how to climb a tree, the child is learning more than, I don't know. I quite agree. Some of us are having problems playing with the cans like memory or Lego or Playmobil. All those things that we have come to learn, all those things we even step on them and we are complaining because they are hurting our legs in the house, you know. But remember that you were one day a child and you played. Let's not forget our past. I always tell parents, how did you play as a child? Who bought you a toy as a child? I don't know the generation of the people watching, but I believe we're having different people who are born here, who came from maybe big times. But those of us that are really having issues educating their children, maybe they grew up in African countries and don't remember how you used to play, jumping with a rope, throwing stones, small stones, and counting, or just drawing on the floor and jumping each child at a time. These things can be done here as well. In summer, you can do this with your children. You can take your children out to go and climb trees, but please check the trees that you are climbing because it's not every tree you are allowed to climb in this country. You know, so all these things we learned as children or telling stories makes us to be very creative. So sometimes I rejected reading books and I'll just say I'll start creating a story and I'll tell my child, once upon a time when I was a small girl, I used to do this and this. And the children will be listening very attentive. And you are by you telling them stories, you are making them to be more creative and start thinking, having fantasy, and this is a big resource later. You know, there are some children generally are very creative. You can hear a young child telling you, I'm a monster, I want to eat you, I'm a flying, or I don't know what. This creativity can be supported by children without by parents without a big problem. So
Well,
this is empowering children. Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. We can talk over and over and give a lot of examples, but I think that our parents are getting it. Let's check some few questions. We have recommendations. We have Femi Olu or Femi, who is saying, "Thank you so very much for all the revelation. Honestly, you have opened my eyes to so many things I never knew before." Yes, sir. That's the reason why we are here, so that we can help parents, support parents, so that we don't make the mistakes that some of us have done in the past unconsciously. So we're going to always give this information regularly, and every Tuesdays we are here. So remember to also share the link with your people, with your groups, so that they can also join to get more of this information for themselves, right? Thank you for being here, sir. And then we are having Elvis, who is saying that climbing trees and many childhood games are fast disappearing with the advent of modernism. That is true, Elvis. It's so unfortunate. And that's what Helen was saying, that parents or children stay in front of the TV for hours. And Helen, do you know that research shows that those children who sit in front of the TV, they are coordinated. That's why they can't speak. Most children really who really have this speech problem are those children who were put before a TV or laptop or a computer or this gadget. They were placed before them, and then the child is now, a child is actually supposed to be active, jump and go. The child sits now this focus on that thing, and unfortunately it's not because the brain gets open, but the brain instead gets dormant, right? And so um and then the extreme one again is when parents, and I see this a lot, and parents leave their children home and they are watching TV and they go for walk, right? They leave, you leave a 5 years old, a 6 years old child at home, and you're going to work. Ma'am, how detrimental is this, and how can we help parents to understand? Because there is a law also where children are not supposed to be at home alone.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is under, it's again under parental custody. You know, we talked of the child has a right of protection as well. And anything that shows negligence to a child, that's, I was looking for the one finale is negligence.
Yeah.
Neglecting children, leaving them at home in this country at a certain age, it's considered that you are neglecting the children. It could be that your child is 10 years and you think this child is going even to school alone. This child could be going to school alone, but if something happens, you'll be in trouble, because at that age you are still supposed to be bringing the child to school. So please watch out what activities your child is doing where they are going alone, because the law is not in favor of parents leaving an 8-year-old or 10-year-old child. You have to see the development of the child. Each mother and father knows that you know what your child is capable of. You could be having a 12-year-old child, but he or she cannot use the train to go somewhere alone. So if you let this child go alone and something happens, then you'll be responsible. If you leave the child at home alone and something happens, like, children are very innovative, they think very fast than we think, we parents. A child that has never touched the cooking stove, when you're in the house, when you leave the house, this child can say, I want to warm, or just turn it, depending on the age. Or a child will say, I can make some egg. Mama always makes some eggs. Or we always make eggs with mama, so I can make alone. And because a child is a child, maybe it's watching TV, or maybe he looks at the window and sees some other children playing, will forget the eggs on the pan and it will start burning. With the question of time, there will be flames, and the alarms in the building, they will go on. And maybe you just went to the supermarket for 5 minutes to pick something, you come, you find a fire brigade in front of your house. you're going to be into problem, serious problem. Or something, a child can decide, let me just go and take a bath and forget, and stay because it's enjoying playing with toys, and forget, and maybe decides to even go deep into the water in the bathroom. So anything can happen. Please, it is good to trust our children, but it is good to counter check what is it that you're trusting. So it is the obligation of the parents. Remember our first lesson on African Social Workers Platform, we talked of our rights and on our obligations. So in as much as you have your child has a right, a child, there are some obligations that this child also or you parents have. So the child has a right to be protected by the parents until a certain age. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you so very much. I mean, the time is also fast going now. We have someone asking, Millie is asking, can one do an Ausbildung as a social worker?
Yes, a Ausbildung as a social worker, you cannot do a Ausbildung. You can only go to the university to study to be a recognized social worker. You can do
Thank
a
you.
Ausbildung as maybe an I don't know, integration helper or social assistant. What is it called? Social assistant, social assistant.
Exactly, with
You know,
children and everything,
yes,
but
maybe with the children or to accompany old people, but
exactly.
you cannot do a house bedroom as a social worker. You have to have a degree. In this,
Sorry for that.
yes,
Mm,
yeah,
sorry for that.
yeah.
Okay. And Sharon Darcy, you're welcome. Sharon Darcy is saying that most people will not even want to admit that something is wrong. We have a very few minutes, ma'am. You're going to be using this point to round up some few things. What do
This,
you think? How do
yeah,
we counsel these people?
yeah. This
Tell them it is not a shame to say,
exactly.
I have a challenge here.
That's what I wanted to say. That it's not. It is not. It should. Don't try to say that I'm having a problem, because it is better to admit you have a problem and you get support than to play cool that everything is rosy and then the problem bursts, and in the process you lose your child. So you always have to weigh what is it that you are downplaying. Why we are talking, we have to come out of our shelves. Last week we talked of breaking this culture of silence. We have to come out of our shelves in hiding things, because we don't want people to know that we are not able to manage our children. It's not you who is not able to manage the children. Sometimes it is the pressure from the society that makes you not able to manage the children. So it is okay to ask for help, and you will get this help. So I advise you to admit where there is a problem and you are getting help. And that is why we have African social workers and having this social workers platform, so that you can confide in us or you can learn from us. You can verify from us. If you don't trust to go elsewhere, we won't be there for you. Thank you very much. And maybe
Thank
the
you.
last point we say that we are connected with African social workers in different cities in Germany. So if you ask us, we are going to surely refer to you to a social worker who is in your town. Thank you.
Mhm. I say every family needs a social worker. We said that also the very first program that unlike just like every church needs a social worker, every pastor needs a social worker. I also think that every family needs a social worker, and it is not a taboo.
Yeah.
Here, by the way, you are father, mother, uncle, brother, grandma, grandpa. I mean, that's too much responsibility for just one person, for one mother. Oh, that's too much responsibility. So make use of the services. And next week, we are going to really deal intensively with the different services that the government has for parents to help parents. And yes, we are here, like Helen said, we are here for you, and we are going to support you as much as we can. I want to read a comment from Elvis because it's very tricky. He says, many parents will disagree with you, especially in Africa, where the monthly income is too low, and the 10-year-old child becomes the caretaker of the younger ones because the parents both have to work. What advice would you give to such a couple?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, this is wonderful that Elvis, you're watching from an African country. Most of the things we've talked about today for people who are here in Europe. That's why we say that we don't have mother, father, uncle, neighbor.
Exactly.
Yes, but in African countries, most of them it's different because you have a neighbor. You don't leave your child alone. You leave your child with a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So this is applying to the parents mostly that are here. There's one point that I would really want to wrap up because you mentioned it, and I see on the platform we have some pastors that are still here on the line, and I really appreciate them because, as you said, every church should have a social work section. If you don't have a welfare department in your church, try to create one because through this welfare section, you can cooperate with African social workers platform to be feeding your congregation with the right information wherever you are in Germany, because the law of children and youth is not for a specific area. It's a
Mm-hmm.
national-wide law, so it is
Mm-hmm.
applicable everywhere. So I would
Mm-hmm.
want the pastors, really the priests that are listening to this or that get this information to try and set this section in the chat because it's easier to access the members and feed them with the right information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And of course, we've come to the end again of our program. And 1 hour or 58 minutes hmm, goes too very fast. And again, to summarize what Helen said, we said it is not a taboo to get help. It is your right to get help. Make good use of those rights, because if you do not make use of those rights, then it will fall back on you. Please make use of those help. The government is not there to take your children away. Cooperate with them. When you've fallen now into paragraph 8A, then you have to cooperate with them. And next week, we're going to be telling you exactly the different services that the youth or the government of office has for us, for you. And then, of course, you're going to be well prepared so that next time you too can be able to teach another person, or again, you avoid some pitfalls. Thank you very much, ma'am. You will have something to say again?
I just want to thank everyone who is here. And I really want to say that since we started, there's a serious response. People are reporting to us, to Vera, and we are referring people to different social workers. So it means they are coming out of their cage, and
Mm,
it's working. And we really
mm,
appreciate the strength that you have and the confidence and the trust that you have in us. Keep
yes.
on listening and spreading the word around. And the intention is to be a sister or a brother keeper to one another. We want to elevate our lives in this country. Gone are the days where we used to remain stagnant in this country. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. I've come to the end of this program, the Afro-Social Workers Forum Germany, and we are hoping and wishing to see you again next week. We're going to have the second part of this conversation, but this time around, it's going to be focused on the different services that the government has for you, and of course for me. And of course, we're going to be detailed again in giving you, of course, the rules of the social worker and the African social worker, so that you do not fall into any pitfall. Until then, take good care of yourself. I've been your host and my friend and colleague, Helen. Thank you so very much for the amazing job that you have been doing. God bless you, and we see you again next week, same time. And yes, bye bye.
Thank you